So in today's training, I'm going to show you how to create a balayage effect on a hand-tied weft. So in our salon, we like to carry basic colors and we customize them to the request of the client and to the client's needs. Carrying simple colors inside of the salon allows us to really have a good stack of hair because then we can customize the wefts for each guest and really create a authentic application for each person coming inside of our salon. So I always like to start off the process by really detangling the wefts. If you do not detangle them, you can actually have some hairs that sort of fall out of place, which can cause spotting and, unnecessary color in areas that you just don't want them to be. So we are going to start by actually rooting this weft. I would say 98% of our clients need a root. So if you are installing hair on a guest, please make sure you do not skip this process. This is very important to create a seamless, undetectable wear, and it is 100% necessary when you are doing your maintenance appointments to refresh any of this that needs to be redone. For this weft in particular, we are doing a very small root at the top, and we are going to create dimension in this weft by low lighting and blending out the low light with a semi-permanent color. So for this application, we are using 10 volume and permanent color. I feel like this creates the longest wear when it comes to actually coloring. So we won't really have a lot of fadage. We won't have a lot of fadage in between wears, and during your maintenance appointment, color touching up is going to be very minimal. So we've added our root and now we're going to flip it over. So we want to make sure that we get this on both sides before we actually start the low light process. And I am going to do the same thing I did previously. We're just going to brush it out a little bit, and then we're going to reroot the extensions in the area that was already colored. So again, I'm doing a very small root. We are going to brush up to make sure that we are really getting into the hand-tied area to make sure that there are no light spots. We always want to make sure that we are using a generous amount of color. I'm now pushing the color down to kind of create a softer blend. And we're going to do a little bit of combing to make sure that it is evenly distributed and we have no spotting. And then we're going to go in with our dry brush and reblend everything out. Again, this is going to create a really nice graduation of color. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to recomb everything to make sure everything is nice and detangled. And we are going to create our low light. So for this, I am going to leave a little bit of blonde in the front. And the reason why I'm leaving that blonde in the front is a lot of clients now have that pop of brightness. So this will allow that weft to match the client's hair perfectly. And we are going to go in and we are going to pull out our pieces for low lighting. And I like to push this up and over so it's out of the way. This is going to be our second application. So we're going to go in, and since this is a dimensional weft and we're creating a balayage look, we are going to do 2 sets of lowlights. So our first set that we're about to color, which we're pulling out now, is going to be a low light that comes down a little bit further. And you'll see how we achieve that. And then our second set of lowlights will be done after we finish coloring these. So for something like this, I like to use your standard Reynolds foil. You can get a good piece of foil, and it makes the process so much easier. We are going to try to get this up and close to the top as possible. Again, we want to make sure that we don't leave any hair out, so there is a blonde spot at the top. So there's a lot of combing and adjusting to make sure that we get a nice even application. Now, when we're doing our lowlights, we really want to make sure that we are really paying close attention to the way we apply the color. If you do not properly saturate your hair, your lowlights are going to look very spotty. Obviously not a great look. So we do a very thorough application. Again, this is something that you should be charging for. This is your time. If you want to include this in the very beginning price of the installation, you can. So you can just tack an extra charge onto the cost of the hair as like an upcharge, or you can do an hourly rate and add it onto the service. It depends on what works best for your business. There's no right or wrong way. But as you can see here, we are applying our permanent color that we use 10 volume for. And I'm really making sure that I am doing an amazing job saturating the pieces to ensure that we don't get any spotting. I'm making sure to get really close to the top so we don't leave any blonde pieces at the top, so there's no spots at the top that will show. And then I'm really going in and I'm combing to make sure that this is evenly distributed so that we can make sure that we have a nice, beautiful, soft, even blend. Now we're going about 3/4 of the way down for this, like this section of lowlights. We're going in and we're dry brushing and we're making sure that we are really saturating the color. And we are going to use our demi-permanent color on the ends to give it a graduation of color to create that more balayage ombre look. So this is clear and a neutral, and it's mixed about half and half, and this is going to give you a soft, seamless blend. I'm really making sure I'm saturating those ends. I'm combing everything through to create a even graduation of color and a soft blend to make sure, and I'm also doing this to make sure that my application is nice and even and saturated. And I'm going to go ahead and do one more reapplication of my 10 volume, again, just to make sure that there's no spotting or any spots missed in my low-lighted section. Going in and making sure to really get in there good, because I'm telling you, you think you have it and you process it and you don't. So really make sure that you are doing a very thorough job. I know I sound like I'm on repeat, but I can't stress enough how important this is. Now we're going to place another piece of foil, and now we're going to do our other dimensional part of this color application. So for this part, we are only going to go down a few inches to create a more rooted balayaged look. Again, I'm making sure that I'm not missing any spots at the top. I'm going in to make sure that there's no blonde pieces that I missed. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to use my permanent color and I'm going to bring it down a few inches. And then we're going to go back in with my demi and we are going to, again, make a beautiful seamless blend and a nice graduation of color. I always go in and comb to make sure that the application is perfect and saturated. Again, if you want to go in with your dry brush, you can, because that's going to blend everything out and create a nice soft line. And this is something too that we have our assistants do. So that's another option for you if you are a very busy stylist. It also gives them something to do. It's a nice way to take some things off of your plate and have some nice training. I'm just triple checking to make sure that my application is very thorough. And now we're going to go in and we are going to do some dry brushing. And then we're going to go in with our semi-permanents and clear, and we're going to create another graduation of color. So this is very subtle. It's such a beautiful result. I can't wait for you to see it at the end. So we're going to go in and we are going to apply our demi all the way through. Again, making sure that we're doing a very thorough job, that we're doing a really good job with our distribution of color. We're doing a very good job blending. And then we are going to let this process for normal processing time, which is about 20 minutes. And I'm always checking my application during processing time. So the way it looks is the way it's going to process. So if you check halfway through, you will see if there's any spots, if there's any areas that need to be touched up, but I always like to double check during that time. Again, I'm going to go in and comb and make sure that everything is evenly distributed, that everything is blending. And I cannot wait to show you the end results. So here is our end results. You can see the ends are lightened. We have a nice soft graduation of color. This is perfect for your clients who like more of a balayage look. And it is so pretty and it's one of my favorites. All right. Thanks for learning today, and I hope this was helpful.